Congratulations.
Not here tonight, but second place winner Miller Nelson of South Orange with a time of 20:19.4. In the boys 11 to 12, we have first place winner Luke Francis of South Orange with a time of 28:42.8. And the boys 11 to 12, coming in second place was Alex Clint of Maplewood with a time of 34:01.2. And our last two winners were also not able to make it. In the boys 13 and 14 was first place Elias Verdon of Maplewood with a time of 31:20.5. And second place was Ruben Artsy of Maplewood with a time of 33:17.4. I'm so glad you could all come tonight. I wanted to have our awards ceremony. Special thanks to the Township Committee for making that happen. Thank you so much.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Appreciate it. Very nice. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Nice job, Pete.
So weird for a single working song.
You're already in.
Okay.
That's why Maplewood loves Slandish.
You can hear that. Kathy.
Okay, folks. We're now going to go to our public comment session. If there's anyone who would like to address the Township Committee, please come up and give us your name and address.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. My name is Claire Roberts. I live at 78 Woodside Road, and I've addressed this Township Committee a couple of times before on the subject of the shared animal shelter with SOMA. And in the past, the discussion was that we were going to let South Orange take the lead on issuing the RFP for the former JAC building. And so we've been waiting very patiently since that time. As I'm sure you know, the RFP is still not posted. We hope it will be posted soon, but we have no date as to when that might be. We also have no indication as to whether or not the RFP will provide for an animal shelter in that building. There have been a lot of discussions about that usage, and basically it's all up in the air. We just don't know. So my question to you tonight is, do you have a plan B?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna.
You're really going to enjoy the Board of Health meeting tonight.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it in the Board of Health, but basically, Associated, the contract with Associated is going to end on August 1st, and we're going to enter into a contract with St. Hubert's.
That is wonderful news.
And after we do that, we're going to continue to have conversations with South Orange about how we might do things jointly, but we will have a contract with St. Hubert's.
Thank you very much. That's as of August 1st?
Yes, right, August 1st.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And might I say, Ms. Roberts, thank you very much for your interest and your suggestions. I know you've been sort of at it from the very beginning, and I want to express my appreciation.
Well, good evening, Mayor DeLuca, members of the Township Committee. For the record, I'm Deborah Collins, Director of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action for the County of Essex, and I have two announcements this evening. The first is the long-awaited brochure on our free concert series this summer. And this Friday evening, we'll be presenting an evening with Darlene Love. And many of you may have seen the documentary about background singers for people like Mick Jagger, who never got a chance to actually be front and center on stage, but you'll get to actually meet Darlene Love if you come to Brookdale Park this Friday evening at 7:30 p.m. All performances begin at 7:30 p.m. and we look forward to seeing you there. I've left several brochures with Ms. Fritzen, so do feel free to pick up your copy. Way to go, way to go. Excellent.
So when you say we'll meet her, will we meet her or just listen to her?
If you'd like to meet
I got it now.
That'd be pretty damn cool.
Okay.
Darlene Love. So, if they're early enough, then that may happen.
Got it.
Great. So, and on July 16th, we're actually partnering with Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses at LaGuardia Community College, but hosted at McClune's Boathouse Restaurant at 8 o'clock a.m. to talk about strategies to accelerate revenue growth for small businesses. We have about 18 people signed up. We have room for about 6 more. So if anyone's interested in attending to hear about this wonderful program through Goldman Sachs, please give us a call at 973-621-2010. That's 973-621-2010. Are there any questions or concerns?
To the degree that you were involved in resolving the issue of the fence on Valley and Tuscan, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I do have one question. I noticed that the opening of the Giraffe House was postponed.
It's been rescheduled.
Okay.
Had lots of press conferences of late, but it has been rescheduled. Let's see, I'm not going to be here, unfortunately, I have another commitment, but I can send you that information. We'd love to have you attend. It's a very, very exciting
Well,
program.
I have a person who's very interested in going. Yes.
No need to be stiff-necked about it.
With a flyer and an invitation.
Thank you. Actually, if you sent it to the clerk, maybe we could.
Distribute abroad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Better get there early because I hear it's neck to neck to get in.
You knew it was coming, right?
All right, whatever. Okay.
Is there another question?
Nope, I think we got it. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Oh, I apologize. There are dates when South Orange Avenue, the S-curves will be closed, correct?
Yes,
They are,
I will get them for you.
I know it's posted up there, but just so,
Send an email to Ms. Fritzen as well on
Great.
the closures.
thank you.
Elizabeth Demkin, 19 Woodland Road. I had a lot of things I wanted to say tonight, but with your announcement, I don't have to say that. I wanted to thank you for working so diligently to get a better solution for the Associated Humane contract. That's all I wanted to say. And I also wanted to ask you, will we have our own ACO, or will they be providing an ACO?
They will be providing it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Erin Scherzer, 49 Oberlin Street. I may have more comments later after the discussion regarding the zoning changes on Springfield Avenue and also the change with respect to 24-hour gas operation in town. But just wanted to restate the position of neighbors in the College Hill neighborhood. We're very excited about Wawa coming to town. We're very excited about the zoning changes. We do have some concerns with respect to safety with gas operation, with respect to crime potentially happening with those businesses, and we would hope with any lift of the ban that we also have a little bit of control in terms of that type of operation. So we'll talk more later based on the discussion.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee at this point? Okay, there will be another time. You'll have another chance in case you want to speak or ask questions. We'll have that time later on. So, now we're going to move into the Board of Health, and since you stole our thunder, it's going to be a boring Board of Health meeting, but it was going to be exciting. We had a big announcement, but
Big reveal.
so sorry about that.
Well, in all
Mrs. Larry.
fairness to Ms. Roberts, you did let the cat out of the bag.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's only going to get worse, isn't it?
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by the mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2015 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2014, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mr. Brownlee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Leventhal?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Larrier?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7 provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health, the Township of Maplewood does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observation of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to the July Board of Health meeting. Can I start, please, by getting a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Rowe, if we could have your report.
I just want to point out June and July have been very busy months at the health department. The overlook van that we had at Bank of America on the corner of Jacoby and Springfield Avenue, it was only there for 2 hours, but they did 16 blood glucose tests for people who were going in and out of the bank and actually just walking up and down the sidewalk. And we found several with high blood sugars, and unfortunately, a man walked in having chest pains and had to go to the hospital. So we're in the right place at the right time for that one. We're going to continue. The adult clinic is June 13th, next Monday, and also June 15th at the Hilton Library, which a lot of people kind of from the eastern side of town tend to attend. The nurses were at the farmers market, and they'll be there again in July. The Overlook Hospital Medical Center will be doing blood glucose screening again at the Hilton Library on July 16th, and we're going to try to advertise that so that they get good attendance, because it's a good service, and I think there's a lot of people walking around with high blood sugars that don't have a clue, and they don't go to the doctor, and they just don't know. So this way we can give them health information they need. We've gotten a lot of health information now in other languages. Barbara Gist found a really great website that has all sorts of health information in all sorts of different languages. So we'll be able to accommodate different people from different backgrounds and get them health information in languages they understand, so that they understand better exactly what the problems are. At the pool, we're going to do osteoporosis screening on the 22nd, and we're going to do, the Humane Society will be back for the last time. Their contract doesn't end until the end of July, so their van will be back on July 27th. That's been tremendously successful. Also, Just this week, we're going to do the tobacco proof of age enforcement program, and we are in the midst of getting out notices to all the businesses that sell tobacco, the electronic cigarettes, and apparently hookah tobacco is very popular now. So we've been to almost all those businesses. We'll finish that up in the next couple of days, and then at some point in the next month or so, we'll be using an underage teenager who's well underage. We don't want to trick people any more than we have to. We're not going to have a 17-year-old who looks 25. We'll have a clearly underage 14 or 15-year-old who looks 14 or 15. And we've warned all the businesses we're going to be testing them. If we do find that they sell tobacco products, it's a $250 fine. So it's not tremendously high, but it is enough to get their attention. And it's worked very well in past years. The first year we did it, and that's probably going back 15 years or more, every place we went to sold to our teenagers. And now, since we've been doing it, maybe once in a while we catch somebody, and it's usually because it's a new employee who wasn't trained properly or wasn't paying attention. So I count that as a big public health success. And smoking is down tremendously, if you've seen the statistics on that. And I think that's it. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Oh, I know. We had a meeting this month. As you may recall, you made May Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we had a small group meet. We met at the town hall with the nurses and some residents to discuss mental health issues in the town and what we could do to try to help with awareness, to help people who don't know where to seek help. We have a really good resource manual, and we're going to try to get that out to the public and periodically advertise it, because a lot of people with mental illness don't seek help. And this way we'll be reminding them that they can seek help and they don't have to suffer.
Okay.
And finally, I guess you want to talk about the animal shelter.
Well, I think before we move on to that, are there any questions? I know I have one. Mr. Brownlee.
Two questions. One, I know I ask this each month just in terms of interpreting the number. On page 2 at the bottom of the report, it says cat license 2015, and it has the number 128 in parentheses. Does that mean that there was one new cat license issued?
Cat license during the month, yes.
Okay. And is the 128 the total number?
That's the highest number, yeah. So we have issued 128 cat licenses in 2015.
This year, okay. All right, so there's one more last month. Okay, I just always forget how to interpret that number. And number two, again, it may just be a silly question. The enforcement program, the underage tobacco products enforcement program, I heard you say a couple things, and it may just be my trying to understand it, but pardon me. You said when we did it a long time ago that everybody seemed to have done it. Then also said that you said that we're doing it and we warn them, and then we send somebody who's clearly underage, and nobody fails the test, essentially, maybe just one. But it seems like almost like it would be like an obvious type thing if we say we're going to be sending underage people, and then we send an underage person. I would hope that nobody would fail. Why do we warn them?
It's just out of a sense of fairness.
Why wouldn't it be fair to not warn them if they're not supposed to do it? I don't get that.
It serves as an educational matter. Even if we weren't doing testing, we would still periodically remind people what the law is. So it serves that purpose. And I'll just have to say that's the way we did it when we started, and it seemed to be what the town committee wanted us to do at that time. So I haven't seen any big reason to change.
Just to clarify, Mr. Rowe, when you say we warn them, I don't think we say, by the way, in the next 2 months, you're going to be visited by a clearly underage child. Don't sell them any tobacco. I think what you do is remind them of the ordinance, correct?
Correct.
And just as a reminder.
Well, I hate to say, we do warn them. We do tell them we're going to be testing you, and we want you to pass the test.
Okay.
I think it serves an educational purpose.
So we do actually warn them that we're...
Yes. And there's no reason we just have to do it once. If for some reason you feel like, one test wasn't enough and we should do it again, we can do it again.
I guess I just, sorry, I guess it just seems silly to me to say we're going to be testing you on underage enforcement in the next, and then we send somebody who's clearly underage, and not surprisingly, they don't sell it to them. To me, it's almost like giving the answers to the test.
Yeah, I think
and then you say it's to be fair, but I mean, we're giving them the answer to the test, and then not surprisingly, they pass the test.
Yeah, I think when we originally did this, there was some sort of distastefulness associated with trying to trick businesses.
It's not tricking them to ask them to enforce the law and to periodically check on them and see if they're upholding the law. I don't see why that's tricking them or not fair to simply just, from time to time, test and see if they're actually in compliance. I don't see. To me, it almost seems unfair to give them to give like an extra heads up. It's almost like you're potentially giving them a way out. They know it's coming, and so to me, I don't see the point. I mean, why even bother otherwise? I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that consideration, but it just seems silly to me to warn them ahead of time that we're going to be testing you on this, and then I don't get that.
Okay.
I'm not. Go ahead.
Your point is taken and understood.
I think, Mr. Rowe, I'm in partial agreement with Mr. Brownlee. I don't know that we need to tell them that we're going to be testing them. I would like to see the notice go out as a reminder. Don't sell alcohol. I keep saying that. That's because that's in the question in the back of my head. Don't sell tobacco to minors. This is the law. You may not do it. And then at some point, we test them. I don't think we need to warn them that they're being tested. I don't know that I don't know there's any reason to do that. I do believe we should remind them of the ordinance. I don't think we need to tell them, by the way, we're coming around in the next month.
But it's also my understanding that correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you periodically send out those reminders anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm not sure if we need to do a special mailing. It still seems like we're kind of tipping them off. I just do what we normally do, and then at some point, randomly test. I don't know that we need to do a special mailing just before we test. And I'm not trying to understand the distastefulness of it. I just don't get that.
I think you get the gist here.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Can I
Mr.
also?
Banner, you understand what we're trying to do here?
Very clearly.
Okay, let's get it done.
I would also ask that we include the alcohol establishments as well.
Well, you need to try to buy alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. I'll work with the police on that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Just something to note. There's data that shows that younger teens more younger teens are starting with e-cigarettes. They're not going to tobacco, they're going to e-cigarettes. So just a reminder that at some point, your teen could be asking for an e-cigarette.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, and the last point I want to mention, that the Municipal Alliance grant was resubmitted, and so we're waiting a word to hear if that's approved or not.
Great.
And we also reached out to Assemblywoman J.C. as well on that issue.
And I received correspondence saying that, showing that Bergen County had the same problem. Everybody failed in Bergen County. Everybody failed in Morris County. So, and everybody failed in Essex County. So, let's think it's just us.
You feel better?
Pardon?
Do you feel better?
Misery
Wasn't
loves
you?
company.
I feel better that it wasn't just me.
Right.
Now on to our good news. Mr. Rowe, if you could just give us the very brief highlights of our contract with St. Hubert's.
Okay. Well, basically, our contract with Associated Humane Society is ceasing as of the end of July. We visited St. Hubert's and negotiated a contract. We're still working out some of the details. It's not totally all worked out, but it's 90+% worked out. And so we're hoping to, I think at the next public meeting, to have a resolution approving that contract. They're probably the best animal control shelter site in New Jersey. The reputation is sterling. I'll have to say I was very, very impressed by what I saw at their location. They do a lot of dog training. They had dogs that were abused, and they gradually train them till they become friendly again to people, and it was amazing to see. And so it just seemed like every type of animal control, rehabilitation, sheltering item, they had it covered. And I was just totally amazed at the professionalism and thoughtfulness and how well they ran their shelter.
Just to go over one or two of the parts of the, now I can't find it, parts of the contract, they too have a 7-day hold on animals.
Yes.
There is a fee schedule for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day. This contract would go through 2017. However, there is a 30-day get-out clause. And also, just to be clear, that we are still seeking to work out some agreement with South Orange to figure out whether we can work with them on animal control issues. Perhaps while we're still working with St. Hubert's, I'm inclined to say while we're still working with St. Hubert's, I don't feel very confident just being with South Orange. So.
That'll help with the negotiations.
Honesty's a funny thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I think it's really a great thing that you managed to do here, because for every bad story we heard about the people whose contract were about to end, you hear 10 good stories about, why aren't you do business with St. Hubert's? Why can't you folks get together with St. Hubert's? And from everything we've seen in the negotiations you guys have been in, it really looks like the right move. I think folks who were concerned about our previous arrangement are going to find their concerns alleviated.
Right. We'll have to work with them closely to make sure they provide the services that we need and want.
And they're also very interested in working with our trap, neuter, and release program. Yes. So we will be connecting Furry Hearts and St. Hubert's to try and nail down some of those particulars. And I want to thank you, and is he here? I don't see him. Here. And oh, okay, and Mr. Correa for working that out, and that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, at this point, we come to the time when the public can address the Board of Health. Is there anyone who would like to address the Board of Health? Seeing no one, I'll ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back at the regular agenda. If anyone came in late and would like a copy of the agenda, they're up here at the clerk's desk. Or somewhere in the box. They're on the table outside. Okay, so if you'd like an agenda, they're on the table outside. And we are on item number 8 on the agenda, and that's an ordinance on final passage.
Mr. Mayor, ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2789-15, an ordinance enacting amendments to the amended and supplemented redevelopment plan for Area 2. This ordinance will amend the redevelopment plan for redevelopment Area 2 as regards to the former Universal Chain site.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance? This is the Maplewood Commons. They're going to build another smaller apartment building in the front. Seeing no one, we'll close the hearing, and can we get a motion? Ms. Leventhal.
You don't know it by heart by now, Kat?
No, I don't, actually. Okay, we're on final. I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole, and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, I would just bring to the committee's attention that there was an amendment to this ordinance at the last meeting. It has been republished. Those amendments were the recommendations of the planning board, who then approved it, saying it was in compliance with the master plan. So it was not sent back to the planning board. I don't believe that it needed to be, and I think it is ripe for your consideration at this time.
We're implementing all the changes that the planning board suggested.
Correct.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have another ordinance on final.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance number 9, ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2791-15, is an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will provide for additional parking on Boyden Avenue.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance? The changes for the public parking, or the street parking on Boyden, are on the Irvington Avenue area. Right now, we have limited parking there, so it's really between Irvington Avenue and Garfield, and maybe a little further past there. Is there anyone who would like to speak on that, on this ordinance? Seeing no one, Mr. Ryan, can we get a motion?
Chair, I move the ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to the law.
Second.
Second.
KL. Please, any discussion? Please call the roll.
I'm sorry, I do have a discussion.
Yes.
Will notice go out to the residents? Is this the kind of,
If you want, we will be glad to send notices to the residents.
I don't know if it meets criteria?
But we are going to sign it, so it will be.
Right. But it'd be good to send it to the people
We'll
on
do it.
wherever
Send
we're
them
going to
out.
do it. Just send them a notice that we've made the change.
Got it.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. We have an introduction of an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, item number 10, introduction of new ordinance, ordinance number 2792, is an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will designate 44th Street as a one-way street with traffic flowing from east to west.
Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, Mayor, this makes permanent the trial program that we've had in place for several months now. I move to pass this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, with a hearing to be held on July 21st, 2015.
Second.
So the way this works is that an ordinance has to be done at 2 meetings. So the 2 previous ordinances were on final, where there's a public hearing. This ordinance is on introduction. We need to introduce it, then we put it in the newspaper. We'll also mail to people in the area, letting them know that on the 21st, we will have a hearing. If anyone would like to speak about this, making 44th Street a permanent one-way from Chancellor to Jacoby, they would come on the 21st, and they could speak up or down or for or against the ordinance. So that's what this process is. It just keeps it. If you would like to say something about this ordinance now, what I'll ask you to do is you'll come up during the public comment period in just a couple of minutes, okay?
I'm sorry, Mayor, did we not send, we sent notices that we were going to introduce this, didn't we?
We don't send notices when we're going to introduce it, but Sunday I did go door to door in the area and dropped letters and spoke to some people. Not everyone, but I was talking to them about the Wawa, and I also let them know about the 44th Street.
Okay.
But this will be, we'll do a mailing to 44th Street, Jacoby Street, Lee Court, Brown, Harding, Henry. Call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mrs. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Okay, the next item has to do with next two items are discussion items. They have to do with Springfield Avenue. And the first item is changing the zoning on Springfield Avenue to make it more pedestrian retail rather than highway business. And we've been discussing this for some time, and I had a meeting with the folks from both College Hill and Hilton, and we came to an agreement that there is a preference to make most of Springfield Avenue a pedestrian retail zone. And so what I provided to you was some draft language, which identified, kind of clarified what an automobile service station is, gasoline service station, repair garage, and a convenience store with fueling station. Also put in definitions about office and professional office, just so we're clear. And essentially the changes are that the convenience store with a fueling station would be allowed as a permitted principal use in the highway business district only, not in the pedestrian retail, and that professional offices and offices would be permitted on the first floor in pedestrian retail. And that there was a question about thrift shops, and I spoke to Annette De Palma about this, our Director of Community Relations, and she and actually the neighbors were concerned about keeping that in as a prohibition because we do have consignment shops up on the avenue, and one could think that that's a thrift shop. So consignment shops are both clothing consignments and other types of consignments. So the suggestion is to eliminate thrift shops as a exclusion. And then just one other thing is I provided you with addresses and blocks and lots of the streets, I'm sorry, the buildings, the properties.
These are all people who are going to have to be notified.
They all have to be notified, yeah. So essentially what we're talking about is on the north side, which is the police station side, from Boyden Parkway, Boyden Avenue, Boyden Parkway, all the way down to and we can decide this, whether it's down to past Broadview, up until the gas station, or if we want to end it sooner. But that whole left side of the police station side, which would be the north side, that whole side would be pedestrian retail. The only part that isn't pedestrian retail is where the Hilton Library is. That is in the, that's not in the zone, that's not in the highway business zone now, it's in a residential zone. And then I guess the other question is, what do we do with the police station? Because it says that a police facility can be only in a highway business zone, so we might want to eliminate or keep out the block and lot where the police station is so that we don't limit ourselves here if we wanted to do something.
Let them be pre-existing non-conforming.
Well, that's true. That's right. That's right.
Leave it alone. Let them be pre-existing
right.
non-conforming. If
That's
we
right.
ever do another police station in 50 years,
they would have to do.
discuss the
right.
zoning then. Yeah.
Right. So essentially, the north side would be pedestrian retail. The south side, which is the Walgreens side, again, this would start around Vermont Street and then go down to Laurel Avenue, make that pedestrian retail. What's the difference on the south side is the area across the street from here, from Burnett Avenue to Vermont Street, is redevelopment areas 1 and 3, and that's governed by a separate set of zoning. So,
And it's clear that that continues to be governed by a separate set of zoning. It supersedes, in addition to it superseding the previous zoning, it supersedes the amended zoning. That's clear, right?
it wouldn't be in the amended, it wouldn't be.
We're just leaving it out
Yeah,
completely.
you wouldn't include those blocks and lots, because they're already identified in the zone. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Sorry. Okay, page 1, chapter 271, professional office. I know this is an old definition, but does this in any way exclude union halls, insurance companies, travel agencies? It doesn't seem to say et cetera.
I believe, and I don't have it, but I believe the retail definition includes travel agencies, but we can check that.
Okay.
Union halls, what do we have about places of assembly? That would be, well, I guess that's not a union hall. That would not be a place of assembly, but we can check that out too.
And then insurance.
I believe those are included in the definition of retail, but we can check it.
Okay, okay.
So your intention is to include those?
Yes.
I think that would be the intention too.
Yes.
That doesn't fall under financial insurance?
I don't know. We'd have to see. We'd have to see. It's already defined, and I'm pretty sure that, not the union halls, but the travel agency and insurance is already defined. Yes, Mr. Ryan.
Some mechanical questions, if you would. So I see there's a different definition for office and professional office, but the only distinction drawn between office and professional office is the definition. They seem to be allowed in this zone in exactly the same way, so why do we have to have a separate definition for them?
There's a separate definition in the zone now, so I just, rather than tinker with the definitions and have unintended consequences.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just added the office and professional offices.
Also, I think you find that frequently in the codes.
Well, I mean, that's the only reason I ask is that we have a definition for office, we have a definition for professional office, and I can't find a place where one is allowed but the other isn't. So the reason for the distinction isn't necessarily clear, but I see your point, and I accept that.
With regard to office and no manufacturing, assembling, or fabricating, didn't we have a question a while back about computer services?
That was home-based.
Those home-based. It's already a permitted use in HB.
Right, so I'm wondering about now, for instance, once we change this zoning, there's at least one computer business that's going to be in that.
No, that would not make manufacturing, assembling, or fabricating.
No?
No.
Oh, even though he's building computers?
This is essentially a wholesale definition, manufacturing, assembling, and fabricating.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. I would just need to know if he needs to be grandfathered or something like that.
Well, he would be anyway, but the place for a transaction of business where services are rendered, that would be the overriding thing.
Okay.
Did you have some questions, or no?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mine is.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a question about mechanics, really. Maybe it's for you, Mr. Desiderio. So, we have this discussion item, and there are a number of definitions in this section. Then later, there'll be another discussion item of another ordinance with some of the exact same definitions in a different section. Wouldn't your life be easier if you had one section with all the definitions in it that you could refer to, rather than having to worry about keeping the exact same definition in two different places in sync?
I'd like to thank you for worrying about my life, Mr. Ryan. It's very considerate of you.
That's what I do.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Doesn't?
No,
I think
because they're in two different sections of the code.
Right.
Consistency would be delightful.
Right.
Okay? But no, we have to do them separately.
Right. You
One
have
is
to.
271, which is the code, is the zoning section, the other one is is an ordinance section, so, but I truly appreciate the thought.
Well, and that brings me to the piece that's highlighted, automobile service station. We have 3 definitions, or 4 definitions, well, no, 3, in the code now in 271, an automobile service station, a gasoline service station, and a repair garage.
Right.
I'm finding it difficult to understand the difference between an automobile service station and a gasoline service station. And the gasoline service station is the term used in 137, the definition of hours of operation and gasoline service station ordinance. So my suggestion would be that we take out the automobile service station and leave gasoline service station and repair garage as the 2 definitions, and add if we're comfortable, add the convenience store with fueling station.
It's reasonable.
Just one thing on the convenience fuel.
Say that again?
Take out automobile fueling station, automobile service station.
Yes.
Because it's redundant with gasoline service station.
Okay.
Leave repair garage, and then we add convenience store with a fueling station. In the convenience store with a fueling station, the last line, the next to the last line where it says, nor the renting, it says painting, it should be painting.
Right.
And I pointed out to someone who said this to me, this was a pain to put it together, so maybe subconsciously I left that T out. So my suggestion, again, just to go over the zoning changes, would be to take out automobile service station definition because it's redundant with gasoline service station, to add a permitted principal use in HB only as convenience store with a fueling station in the HB district, to take out thrift shops as a exclusion, to remove the, where it says, this is on page 3, permitted principal uses, where it says offices but not on the street level, we take out but not on the street level. And then we also include professional offices, so we have two definitions of offices, offices and professional offices. And everything else remains the same. I tried to do as little as possible in changing the code, except for what we had agreed to with the, in my conversations with the residents. And as I said, I got the definition of the convenience store with a fueling station from the, Paul Greigel, our planner, and also the attorney for the developer, who, and I put them together into hopefully one coherent definition.
You're saying anything that's there already is grandfathered?
Yes,
Say that, ask me that again.
Anything that's there already is grandfathered?
yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I thought you said red.
So
Yes.
businesses that are primarily instructional, I'm thinking of the dance school.
Yes.
Okay.
But anything that's already there is
Is
pre-existing,
pre-existing.
non-conforming, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Dance school, I think you could argue the karate place,
Place, right.
a couple of the other places
The
that are.
yoga place, or that's more,
Gas
I don't know.
stations, frankly. An existing gas station
Right.
an existing gas station is not allowed in pedestrian retail, but if there was one in the new zone, it would be grandfathered.
we don't have one.
Yeah, just as an example.
And this would not allow pedestrian retail. You know, when we had right now, we have 3 blocks that's pedestrian retail. And that's Prospect Street going 2 blocks one way to Indiana and 1 block to Oberlin.
Aren't there 2 on Springfield Avenue?
No, it's just 1. We thought of not having those types of stores there and not having offices there because it wasn't conducive to people walking around and looking into an office. You wanted to look in the store window where there was merchandise and things like that. But if we're going to make the whole block, the whole 1.5 miles or whatever it is, pedestrian retail, we can't be that limiting. So, plus, we're finding it difficult to occupy some of these tenants. And I think the Springfield Avenue Partnership Board was very concerned about not doing anything that would make it more difficult to occupy the vacant properties that are there now.
But one thing that would not be able to go in there is another gas station or something of that.
Nothing would be able to go, if we made these changes in blocks and lots from Boyden Avenue to wherever we end up on the other side, and we can talk about that in a moment, you couldn't put any gas station, car washes, used car lots, new car lots, anything related. Those will all be excluded unless you went for a variance.
Okay.
And any of the car-related businesses now, like Meineke, Maplewood Tire, Town and Country Collision, those would be permitted uses because they would be grandfathered, so they would be allowed to continue. I guess the one question I wanted to talk about is on the side going towards Millburn, where did we want to end up? My feeling is we should end up at where the gas station is now, where the 76 gas station is now, and just go right up to that.
So the 76 gas station would be still in highway business, but that would be it.
On that end.
Right.
And then on
Dunkin'
this
Donuts
end,
would be right on the other side, right up to the end, right?
Yeah.
Mayor, the next property on that side is Milburn Avenue?
Actually, the next property on,
It's an office building, is
Yes.
that actually on Milburn Avenue?
Correct.
So the 76 is the last property on the north side of
Correct.
Springfield Avenue? Okay.
There is a property on the south side that's past Laurel. It's two
vacant lots.
It's a vacant lot. We have to find that one, but that would be the other side.
That's in two towns.
Yeah, that's,
A lot west of the Dunkin' Donuts?
yes.
Yes.
So we have to include that too.
In the pedestrian retail.
Essentially, the master plan says that we should minimize auto-related businesses on Springfield Avenue, and we're doing it with this.
Okay.
We're keeping it at the end. We're also allowing the opportunity for a major improvement with Wawa, and keeping any kind of things like that on the two ends.
When do we talk about the 24-hour gas?
Next. Okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
So we're going to move ahead with this. This will be introduced at the next meeting. Now, the 271 ordinance has to go to the planning board.
Yeah, we ought to talk about the logistics of this just for a second. If it gets introduced at the next meeting, which is the 21st, the next planning board meeting is scheduled for the
Second week in August.
the second Tuesday in August.
Right.
So the question becomes, A, will they have a meeting?
I think they will.
I think they will.
Well, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm
just not sure what the agenda is going to look like for that, but okay. And that would mean then that this would have to come back on for the second meeting in August.
In August, yes.
And is there going to be a second meeting in August?
Well, I would say yes to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because time is of the essence here. Because then we have to come back and, I mean, there might be other things we have to deal with too at that time, but we have to come back and approve it, and then there's a whole process of going back to the planning board and all that, so.
Okay, okay. And that's fine. I have no issue with that, with the exception that if in fact, for whatever reasons they don't meet, then you're off to the second meeting in September.
Correct, unless they have a special.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're going to impress upon the chair of the planning board that they ought to have a meeting to deal with this.
Okay, well, he's got to get a quorum.
Yep. Okay, next up is hours of operation and changes to the gasoline service station ordinance.
So that's August 18th.
This is section 137 in our code. This again has multiple definitions. So what I'm suggesting here is taking out gasoline selling or service stations and public garage, and just keep a repair garage, gasoline service station, repair garage, and convenience store with a fueling station.
Similar to the other.
Right.
Well, identical to the other.
Painting becomes painting.
Yes, painting still is painting, yes. Essentially, it allows whatever is allowed now at a gasoline service station, but at a gasoline service station, I'm sorry, at a convenience store with a fueling station, they wouldn't be allowed to do any outside work. They wouldn't be allowed to fix the cars at all. And that's defined in two ways. One in the definition, which it says that it's for fueling station, retail dispensing and sales of fuel and oil, but does not include the installation of tires, batteries, and similar vehicle accessories, nor the renting, painting, cleaning, or detailing, bodywork, servicing, storage, or repair of any vehicles. On page 2, it did put a section D in here, at a convenience store with a fueling station, no, again, it repeats it, no repair work on vehicles, except for pouring oil, transmission fluid, power steering fluid, window washer fluid from a container directly into a vehicle. And then Ms. De Palma suggested another one, and that's the dispensing of air. Oftentimes they have an air pump.
This is similar to the language that came up in the planning board discussions when advanced auto was going in. You know, what kind of work would people want to be allowed to happen and not happen?
Right. H here is at convenience stores with a fueling station, signage shall be in compliance with Chapter 271. Chapter 271 of the zoning regulations has much more detail as far as signage, and since it's both a building and a gas fueling station, this would really govern this better than the language that's in there just for a gas station. You couldn't do towing at a convenience store with a fueling station. And then the hours of operation, it now says it's unlawful for any gasoline service station to be operated between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. This would say, except for gasoline service stations and convenience stores with fueling stations that are located within the highway business zone, it shall be unlawful. So essentially, this allows a gasoline service station and a convenience store with a fueling station that's in a highway business zone to be open 24 hours.
So then theoretically, if we're taking the pedestrian zone up to the 76, that allows 76 to now be open 24 hours?
Yes.
You couldn't do one without allowing all the existing ones to do it.
Did we query the residents in that area?
No. But we can send them a notice that we're, you know, when it comes time for final passage. It'd be like Marie Place.
I can say that I was against this, even for the Wawa, even for the other end, until I heard from the College Hill, right? Yeah, the College Hill residents, that they were in favor of it. I would want to hear that from around the 76 as well, or include them in the pedestrian retail grandfathered with their hours as is.
Well, I think you'd have a problem, and I'm not a lawyer, so I guess a lawyer can speak about if we were to exclude one of the existing gas stations and allow another gas station to open on.
That would be a problem.
That would be a problem. Then before I would vote to make this change, I would want to hear that the people in and around the 76 area would be as in favor of it as the other end.
Yes.
Well, the layout there, there's fencing, there's the big building that's really on Milburn, and there's a large parking lot before you get to any residence.
Not actually, because Mr. Crow built that condo back there where they're actually buffered against that. The condo, the back of the condo.
That's contiguous?
It's pretty close. It's pretty close. I think what you're talking about is true. There's the parking lot where the ambulances are parked.
Right.
But right adjacent to that are these apartments now, they're not condos.
But even so, it's a zoning decision, right? Even if it's empty today, it could become residential in a year or two.
Correct.
So.
And it's also an operational decision. This doesn't say that they have to be open. This is an enabling. So, you know, each of these other two gas stations, the Sunoco and the 76, they're going to have to make a business decision as to whether or not it makes sense to stay open and whether they have the capacity. I think when Ms. Scherzer came up and talked about security, what I would suggest is that we do add another section to this 137, and it would be 137-6-6, and that would say the operators of a gasoline service station and convenience store with fueling stations that are located within the highway business zone and open for any hours between 11 p.m. and 6 p.m. must have a security plan, 6 a.m., must have a security plan and install a security system after consultation with the Maplewood Police Department, or some kind of language like that.
Is that what, do we have that in force with the other 24-hour venue there? The what is it, the Quick Check?
No.
No, there's nothing formal like that anymore.
No, but we're giving them an exception to the rule of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it just says if you want to, this exception, if you want to be open between that window, then you have to go a step above and have a security system that, you know, after consulting with our police. You don't see any problem with that, right?
No, we'll also put something in that if they do that, they can't have any kind of bell device or ringing device or anything like that that would disturb the neighbors. We'll put something in it to that effect too. Although I don't think that's used very much, but we used to have.
I don't think anybody uses
Anybody use that
that. You mean the old arrow thing where you
Maybe
ride
at
over?
night.
Ding, ding, ding? Yeah, no, they don't. They had, you know, you remember the testimony,
I
they
wish
said
they
that they would
did.
have 2 people outside 24 hours.
When, I have something when you're done.
But but I do think, you know, again, this would not just be this effect. If Sunoco was to do it or 76 was to do it, we would want to make sure that they have proper security too.
There's one more, painting.
Okay.
Page 3.
Yeah, we'll clean all that
I
up.
do have an issue. And this goes to what Mrs. Larry was bringing up. I'd like to be assured, now and into the future, that gasoline pumping is not occurring underneath somebody's bedroom window. So I think about the pumps need to be located 50 feet from a house, not a structure, but a house. Or I can't visualize this, so 50 feet, 100 feet, 50 feet is probably going to make more sense if we're talking about Marie Place. So that if the parking lot with the ambulances between Marie Place and the Milburn Avenue building were to be redeveloped, that there's an effort, that there's a mandate that this doesn't come right underneath someone's window at Marie Place.
But how could you do that? How could you put a restriction on a future building that might be built?
No, it could be now. It goes in now. And
Well, you can.
my guess is we're 50 feet.
Well, no, let's say you put that restriction in place. Somebody comes in, puts a new building there, puts a bedroom, and suddenly the gas station's illegal.
Right. You can't force the gas
That would be
station.
the other way around,
You
yeah.
can't force the gas station to back up their operation
right.
because somebody
Okay.
puts the res.
Yeah.
But you can, and there was in the proposal or the model I got from Mr. Greigel, he talks about a buffer zone of at least 20 feet from the, this is the site. I don't think you can do 20 feet. I mean, we don't have very big lots. But I think we could have something that the pumps can't be, you know, a certain amount of feet to an adjacent residential property or something like that.
I think we could, like 20
Yeah.
feet.
I don't know what it is.
Do we have a limit? I didn't see a limit on number of pumps, actually.
Say that again?
Is there a limit on number of pumps that I'm missing?
No, there's no limit on the number. How could you,
That'll be market driven.
There's, practically speaking, there's engineering limits. You can't have too many, and there's setback limits, so, you know.
But we could-
it'll
we
be-
could,
It'll be guided by the size of the lot and the layout.
All right, so
so
there,
you're looking for some kind of setback for the pumps from residential property,
yeah,
right? That would only affect somebody new,
yep.
wouldn't affect anybody who's operating.
You're talking about just setback from a
From the
lot line?
line, from the.
Not from
their
residential,
lot
just
line, yes,
setback from a lot line which
Right.
borders a residential?
Right.
right, right.
Okay, we'll work it in there.
Makes sense to me.
Anything else?
Two,
Yes.
just two minor things. Excuse me. And I think I've asked similar questions on some other things that we've considered where the language was sufficiently nebulous, if you would. When we define the gasoline service station, it says any building, structure, place, or location designated primarily to supply motor vehicles, et cetera. The language designated primarily, does that need any sort of clarification, or is that sufficiently defined to unambiguously
I mean, I guess.
give someone some, what designated primarily means?
I mean, we could take out primarily.
Pardon?
We could take out primarily.
Okay. And similarly, under repair garage, at the end it says, which involves a storage, maintenance, or major repair of motor vehicles. And again, that language, major repair, what constitutes that? I see in the convenience store with a fueling station that we enumerate some different things, do not include the installation of tires, batteries, and some, there's an enumeration, but here it just says, or major repair.
I would say repairs would probably be appropriate as opposed to major repairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one, Mayor.
Yes.
Do we need to define fueling station? Fueling station, gasoline service station is defined, repair garage is defined, convenience store with a fueling station is defined, but fueling station is not, what is commonly known as a pumper.
You know what, I just used that because that was the definition. Greigel's definition was convenience store with a filling station.
Right.
And the other one was a convenience store with fuel sales, so I used fueling station.
Yeah,
But maybe we ought to use fuel sales.
Okay, I'm just thinking that there could be an independent pumper that doesn't have a convenience store, and I'm not sure that that's defined in any of these.
Isn't that a service station? That's a gasoline selling station.
Well, except that includes testing and examination, repair thereof, and to maintain gas. I mean, with gasoline.
And to maintain gasoline pumps, oil pumps for the purpose of selling gas. I mean, we can, if you want to do that, that's fine.
I'm just, okay, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a convenience store with fuel sales and just make it
Okay.
simple.
Can I,
You know, this is language that exists right now in our code, and it hasn't been a problem.
Right.
So we can do it, that's like
Yes,
taking that
I
onion
understand.
apart, man. Yes.
speaking of onion, I'm wondering why well, it says, I guess I'm confused. 137.2C at the bottom of 1.
Right.
Gasoline service station or repair garage. No repair on vehicles shall be done in the open except the following.
Right.
I thought we didn't want, do we want oil changes done?
They do
So
it.
what's in the open? Is that like?
At a
out
gas
on-
station, they do it. They do it now.
But they do it in the garage, don't they?
Not necessarily.
Oh.
And sometimes they repair tires outside. They repair the batteries.
Yeah, I know, I knew these were done outside, but the brake
This is-
adjustments and the changing of oil, I didn't realize that.
This is existing language for service station.
Well, no, existing language says on the premises, which I understand. Out in the open, I don't.
No, the reason that it was taking out on the premises is because it had to be taken out because it just defined gasoline selling or service station. So that we could leave on the premises there if it makes you feel better.
I would rather it be not,
Okay.
yeah, on the, because somehow I feel
Okay,
like
that's
some of this
fine.
needs to be inside and
That's
not
good.
out in the open.
That's good. Yes, sir, Mr. Ryan.
Mine is a logistical question. At the end of our last discussion, you discussed a little bit of the logistics of the previous ordinance. While this one doesn't have to go to the planning board, it seems to me that this one is very tightly coupled to the other one, and you probably, for a lot of different reasons, wouldn't want to do one without the other. Or if the first were to fail, you wouldn't want to proceed with this one.
I would suggest that you're correct, and of
Yes.
course, whatever you want to do. So I would suggest introduction on the 21st and final on August the 18th, which
Yes.
is when the other will come up.
Great, okay.
I think you run
Give
them, we
everybody
run them
enough-
parallel.
Run them parallel, and it'll give time for notices to be sent to all the people that you want notice to be sent.
Right.
Great. Great, terrific, thank you.
Okay?
And then just to reiterate, Mr. Manning, we're going to be notifying the residences around the 76?
Yeah, after the introduction.
Yes.
All right, then everything, because all the notices will have to go to all those property owners on Springfield Avenue for the pedestrian business zone. All of those notices will go, and also notices will go to the people who are adjacent to the 76 station.
Why would we not, I'm sorry.
No, and Sunoco?
There's nobody who lives around this, no. I mean, we could send it to 44th Street. I mean, that's.
200 feet.
Yeah, we're going to send it anyway. We can send one letter that has both items to 44th Street, because I'm sorry, we're going to do the 44th for the one-way.
Right.
Yeah, we can send them another letter, too.
Why do we have to wait until it's introduced?
Well, it just makes, logistically, it makes sense because there's no public hearing until the second reading of the ordinance.
Until you publish it, you don't know what ordinance there is.
I would
And
suggest,
until you vote to introduce it, you don't know that you've actually introduced it.
Right.
well, that's true, but I would suggest that the residences that would have been affected, that are going to be affected by the coming Wawa, aren't waiting until this has been introduced. Why can we not just let them know this is something we're thinking about now?
So what do you want it, then what would they do? They would come?
Pardon?
They would come to the next meeting, and we wouldn't have introduced it yet.
And they can give us feedback, just like the College Hill Association did.
Fine, I don't have a problem with it.
I think that's going to, well,
Well,
you're planning on introducing the
It's your
ordinances at the
call.
next meeting
I
anyway.
think the issue is that I think then I would suggest that you not introduce it, just carry it as another discussion item, and then let them come and have a discussion about it. But that's up to you.
No,
I'd introduce it.
No.
Okay.
introduce it and they can speak at the second.
No, we have no idea if anyone's going to come. And
I understand that, but
the
just-
process is we introduce and we let people know, and then we invite them to come to the public hearing.
Which is the second reading.
Right.
Whatever you want.
Now, if you want to change that process, then you have to convince us to do it.
I just
I
think in
think
the
we should-
I just think in the, can't think of the word, but in the interest, thank you, somebody gave it to me, in the interest of fairness, I think we should let them know as soon as possible so they can get the same opportunity to mull it over and respond, even if it's an email to my email address, just as we've heard from other people who are affected.
Okay, how about we do this? We'll send a letter to the people on Marie Place. They're the people who are most affected by 76.
Okay.
And we'll say we're considering introducing this on whatever the date is.
Well, we're not
and-
considering introducing, we're introducing.
Well, it's up for introduction. It has to get 3 votes.
Right.
Right? So we don't know. We'll write a letter and we'll send it to them.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, the real problem is that this thing's probably not going to be drafted till, the Thursday or Friday before that meeting.
Right.
So that's what, you'd really like to send them what you're going to introduce.
No, we could just say
They'll be reacting to an idea.
yeah.
Or we
That's
could-
basically
or
all
we
they
could
do.
refer
That's
them to
what,
the
that's what we're asking. We're
website.
telling folks
They can do.
that this is a concept or an idea we're thinking about, and if they'd like to come to the meeting on whenever the date is, 2 weeks from tonight.
You can tell them that it's going to be, that we're considering it for introduction on the meeting on the 21st. It'll be
Okay,
posted
we're-
on the town's website if they want to go look.
We got it down. I think we got it.
Thank you,
We have it.
Okay.
thank you.
Motion on, Mr. Ryan wants to pull 12915. Let's
Yep.
get a motion on the rest of the agenda.
What is 12915 and why we're pulling it?
The judge.
Judge.
We're
Yeah, I
pulling
noticed he
it?
wasn't here.
He wants to vote on it separately.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Is he not coming?
No.
I thought we'd see him.
Who was here last meeting?
Can we get a motion on the balance of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Mr. Ryan, can we get a motion on 12915?
Move adoption of Resolution 12915, reappointing Municipal Court Judge Stanley Barron for term July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Any comments?
He's a
Yay.
good guy, I'm glad to do it.
Yay. Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mr. Larrier?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
I agree, an enthusiastic yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Okay, we have a second public comment period. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the Township Committee? Yes. Come up now and give us your name and address. Yep. Yep. Tell us your name and address first.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique Matthew, and I live on property 1144th Street, and I'm coming from New York City. I've been here the last 2.5, 3 years, and I'm very pleased to be a part of the Maplewood community. I've noticed I'm very excited as it relates to the development that's taking place on Springfield Avenue, because I do believe that will increase my property value, which I'm very happy about. But I also just have some concerns, and I do notice that, if I may just tell you, I noticed that the development of the new condominium that's going up, the PSC&G building, I just have a concern. I noticed that there are a lot of, the demolition is taking place, and I wanted to know if there's any way that you could contain the demolition as it relates to taking out the physical structures. I just have concerns about asbestos. And it's in the open, and you pass up and down, and it's in the open. So I was just wondering if there's a way that they could probably put something over it just to contain it, particularly when they're not having the demolition process taking place. So they just cover that up somehow, just, air quality. The other issue is that I noticed that I do take, I'm a teacher in New York City, and I do have to take, I think, Chancellor. And I was just wondering if there was any way possible that we can make a little more distinction when you approach the Maplewood-Irvington boundaries. Any way you can make it a little more distinctive. Like, this is Maplewood, and when you come over to Maplewood, we do want you to know that it is Maplewood, and we want you to know that we do take pride in our town. And so I was just wondering if there was anything that you guys could orchestrate, maybe for some plans or just whatever, just to make it a little bit more approachable to the town that I do love to live in. And if that's possible, that'll be also great. And I have one last concern. I notice as I scurry around, I walk around, I observe a lot of people, I observe a lot of homes, and I'm just like saddened by the fact that people don't really take pride in where they live. And I would love to see, I don't know what can be done, but I would love if someone could go around just to remind people to take pride, cut the grass, put down some flowers, just have some vested interest. I realize it's a little more on the rental market, but somehow they're all accountable. And so, if we could work as a community to make it better, I do believe that we will, have more pride in where we live. Everything is about property maintenance and really respecting where you live and really appreciating the wonderful town of Maplewood, which I do love. Thank you.
So let me talk about the asbestos first. The work that's being done at the PSC&G building now, we have been told, does not address the asbestos. They're just taking out some of the furniture and stuff that's inside. When they do the asbestos, it will be sealed, and the asbestos work will take 6 weeks rather, and it will be done by professionals, and they will seal it. They'll use these vacuums that suck everything out so that it isn't in the open air. Okay. When they do the demolition of the building, the asbestos will be removed at that point. Okay. Now, they'll also, when they do the asbestos of the building, they will also have to spray water constantly to keep the dust down.
Right.
So that's another requirement when the building is taken down, because as you destroy all that cement, it goes around and stuff. So that will be required, and our code enforcement people will monitor that. When I stopped at your house Sunday, we talked about the welcome sign, and I didn't forget.
Okay.
But it's only Tuesday, so you got to give me a little bit of time before. And on your third idea of the property, yeah, you know, we have a lot of rental properties there, and we have a lot of absentee landlords there, and we have been working in that area, and we'll do some more on trying to get people to keep up their properties, but.
Particularly at the approach.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay, but the approach, all those properties, like, you know, people hanging around.
First thing you say.
The approach, you
Yep.
know, that's what I'm saying, because it does take a precedent. I've been robbed before, and I do feel like if there's an approach, people would tend to come to the approach in a little bit different way. So that's why I'm just working, like, just really trying to advocate for that particular part of the area so that we can have a little bit more kind of community feel to it, and not consider the ghetto part of Maplewood. That's as what I was told when I moved into Maplewood. This is the ghetto part. So I was like, oh, let me start advocating now then. And one last thing about the gasoline, as Miss Larrier, I'm sorry.
Larrier, that's good.
Larrier, as you said, it's a wonderful idea. I do love the fact that we're doing so many wonderful things for that particular area. I just have a concern also about the gasoline and the location of the tank. You know, I wouldn't want to know that the tank is strategically placed in an area that's gonna somehow perhaps maybe we could get some information about the containers gonna be holding the gasoline and like the location of it. I know structurally, you know, we do want the business developers to be happy and we want everyone to be happy, but also be mindful of the residents as well. And I like the fact that you did take the approach to stand up for us. But if we could just get a little more information about that aspect, I do think that would be really helpful. But most of us are in favor of the Wawa coming. Just the gasoline. The 24-hour service also is just a little, you know, but I can understand having the highway and the convenience, you know, thinking about all those things in a business perspective, but also be mindful also of us. Some of us, you know, we're tired and we definitely would like to have that quality of life also, even on that aspect of the 76th district.
Just on the 24 hours, even though it would be allowed to be open 24 hours, there still is a noise ordinance between 11 p.m. and I'm not sure exactly what the early morning is. So even if there was some degree of noise on a regular basis, we'd be able to cite them and bring them in, you know, and have them adjust whatever they're doing that's creating that noise. So.
I remember one more thing. There's a conflicting sign on Chancellor in Springfield. It says no right turn on red. Yet it's not specifically geared. I don't know if you're talking to me coming down Springfield making a right, or you're talking to the bus depot. So the sign needs to be a little more clear. It's not clear, so I'm not sure. And also,
as you're coming down Springfield, you're talking about the one that's up. It's up on
the bank.
Yeah.
It just like not, and I was like, I don't want to get a ticket. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
You know, and also if you could put like a camera there to monitor so people know again the approach. This is Maplewood, you know, where the angles either go in Springfield or going to Chancellor, some way that people can visibly see that we mean business in this town. You're not going to come in and do what you want to do.
So you're talking about as you come down Springfield to make the right onto Chancellor is a no right on red?
Right, but it's positioned
right
this way. So
okay, it's next to the Bank of America, the ATM there.
There's a conflicting sign.
Okay.
Okay, we'll have our engineer take a look at it.
Okay.
Right.
If I could also point out, we do have ordinances in town about keeping up your property, keeping it painted, keeping the grass. It's hard to not maintain your property because our mayor, I will say, is very, very vigilant about things like that and bringing properties to our attention. But if you see one, I would certainly make it a point to report it. They can do that. Can they do that the same way they do the potholes?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
So I go to the website.
Yes.
Right.
Service request. And there's a private property maintenance.
Right.
You can, just put the address in.
Okay, thank you guys.
And then we can have our code officials take a look at it specifically.
Yeah, particularly just the entrance, and there's a little school down this, you know, the daycare. It's just like all over the place, you know. Again, approach. You know, we approach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee?
Good evening, my name is Don Starkey, I live at 2344th Street, and I just had two things I wanted to briefly comment on. Was to thank you for your idea to put 44th Street as a one-way street. I was a skeptic, but it's been great. And I was particularly skeptical that the way the traffic was to go from Chancellor over to Jacoby, I thought it should go the other way. But it's really reduced the traffic significantly. And it's made our street kind of quiet. You know, and with the other improvements that you've made with working with the Vanguard Direct folks, that's been good. The lighting, the trimming, that's helped us significantly. The other thing, and Vic came over to my house Sunday, and I gave him a tour of my backyard. I share more frontage with the Wawa.
Yes, you do.
Than any other property in town. So I trust that you will watch out for me.
Yeah.
The way in which, like if they have intrusive lighting that comes in at night, you know, if it's like operating 24/7 and I've got like this bright halogen lighting coming over to my house and my property, I'm not gonna be like really happy about that. But, you know, those are things that I guess are to be determined. And you know, I hope that in some way, shape, or form, you guys can consult us and kind of let us know what's going on.
Yeah, you know, after we spoke on Sunday, I called the developer, and it's unfortunate, he was sitting 2 seats behind you. And I wanted to hook you up, but we'll do that in the future. I told him that I stopped at your house and that you have the most frontage on their property. Your back and your side will abut their parking lot. And I explained to him that we need the signage and that you want the higher plantings. And so he agreed that that's exactly what they're going to do. And so he wants to hook up with you and talk to you about it. So I'll get the information from you. And
yeah, that would be very helpful because yeah. I'm sure if we know.
But more officially, when the Wawa plan is before the planning board, you will have an opportunity to come and talk about those very, very direct details about the buffering and the planting, and you'll be able to engage with the planning board and make requests. And that's the best time because that's when we have the developers or the applicants, they want something, so they usually give what we're asking for, so.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee?
My name is Ed Postal, 29 Nelson Place. Do we have a new recycling company doing our recycling?
Yes, we do.
They're not doing too good of a job.
Okay.
Since Memorial Day, 7 times they didn't pick up in front of my house. I got a 4-family house. I got a lot of stuff I got to bring back. Donna from Public Works, she knows my voice, you know, so I called her up Tuesday now. For some reason, they don't want to come down my
So they're not coming down Nelson Place at all?
Not 5 out of, 5 weeks since.
Right. Okay.
I made them.
Our administrator, Mr. Manning, will contact them and make it a point to get them there.
Also, when I call her up, she's telling me I'm not the only person having this problem. You have to do it a lot.
Right. I'm not sure why she's offering that opinion, but, this was, the contract was let out a couple months now.
March.
Most of those things should have been worked out. So we will, if anybody's watching this and has the similar kind of problems, we have had problems. In the very beginning, there was some backlog of pickups and things like that, and it took them days, sometimes 2 days to finish the town. But we have had less complaints now. It seems to be working better. But
it didn't sound like it.
Yeah. But we'll take care of contacting them about Nelson Place.
Right, because also, I've been here like 30 years.
Yeah, I know.
Except for the past couple months, I guess, with the new crew. She even asked me, are there cars parked on the street? Well, I don't
Doesn't matter.
park them on the side.
That doesn't matter.
And the only other thing is the street sweeper doesn't like my street either.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Erin Scherzer, again at 49 Oberlin Street. I just want to thank you all for the very comprehensive changes with Springfield Avenue, particularly adding in the security measure. That was much appreciated, and that was our big concern. One topic that did come up in our community meetings with the zoning changes from HB to PBR, ensuring that there's no 24-hour business operation in that area. And I don't have the language in front of me, so I couldn't, carefully parse through it, but that was a concern raised in both of the meetings that we had and in emails and Facebook discussions as well. So that would be something that we're very concerned about. And with it, while the code is cracked, if there would be a way to take those security measures that you mentioned to other 24-hour businesses, just to make sure that their security protocols are checked with the police department as well.
It would be hard to do with anything that's open already for 24 hours. I've had a conversation with our attorney about the not allowing the 24 hours, and it's a challenge. And so we have to figure out how to do it, if we can do it at all. There's been
It's the constitutional challenge.
Yeah, there's been some issues about disproportionate treatment. Why would you not allow somebody, why would you not allow the pharmacy to be open 24 hours when the pharmacy on Valley Street can be open 24 hours? So if it's just something we have to look at.
You could make it a town-wide change with respect to...
Yeah, we have to figure out if there's any unintended consequences there too. I mean, it gets to be, you have to take a look at it. It's not, I know what we talked about it, but when we started talking about how we could implement it, and I think in 2014 or something, we spent a lot, or even before that, we spent a lot of time looking at this.
Yeah, I have a folder somewhere that has this.
So we'll dust off that folder. It's not going to be done for this change, but we can always go in and change it in the future.
No, I appreciate it, and I just want to say thank you. I know there's been a lot of interesting times in Maplewood the past year with engagement with the community, and I have to say I appreciated the engagement that we received on this issue, and I appreciated Ms. Laria for the comments she made for the residents that live over there that don't have a collective voice to be able to address their issues. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee? Okay, we'll close the public comment session. We did receive a report from the Chief Financial Officer of the refinancing the debt. And administrative reports, Mr. Manning.
Yes, I just want to remind people that the farmers market is open for business every Monday from 2 to 7, Indiana parking lot, Indiana and Springfield Avenue. We have a lot of really good vendors. There's a great food truck there that comes, and I think it's going to be coming every week. And it's very successful. A lot of people going there.
Great.
And if you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Manning? We did talk at Planning and Engineering about Elmwood Avenue, the paving, the potholes there.
Yes, I sent something out to Mr. Bell, and usually he responds pretty
could
quickly.
you let me know as soon as that?
Yes.
Because I want to.
It didn't happen today, I know that.
No, I know, but I want to know.
Yes.
I want to know what we're doing so I could alert the residents who spoke to me.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it. Mr. Desiderio?
Yes, I have two items, Mayor. The first is that there is an appeal of a zoning board of adjustment matter to the Superior Court with regard to property at 3638 Ohio Street. And I need your authorization to retain Michael Edelson, who is our Board of Adjustment attorney, to represent the Board of Adjustment in connection with this. So I'd ask that a resolution be passed appointing Mr. Edelson at the municipal rate of $140 per hour to...
We get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier.
Yes.
Mrs. Leventhal.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes. Ms. Leventhal?
What is it about?
I'm sorry?
What is the case?
It was a denial.
It was a denial of an application to use an undersized lot.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was a 3-2 vote, by the way, so. The second item I have is an authorization to enter into a pilot agreement with the ARC, small RC, now of Essex County, with regard to the property at 705 Irvington Avenue. As you're aware, over the course of the years, we have negotiated these agreements with effectively group homes in order to secure some payment for the township, specifically the municipal portion of the taxes, exclusive of the Board of Ed, as opposed to them being totally exempt. We've had, I think, excellent success in doing that. We've renegotiated an agreement with them, subject to your approval, that will run through 2019. So I'd ask for a resolution to authorize the entering of this and for the mayor to be able to sign it.
So moved.
Ms. Leventhal, you look.
Oh, is there a second? Second. Go ahead.
Did we get information about this?
I'm sorry?
Did we get information about this?
No.
No, this exists.
This is a
nonprofit.
No, I know what
This is
it
a continuation of, this is a renegotiation of an existing pilot.
Thank you, okay.
And there's no requirement for this nonprofit to pay any taxes.
There is none whatsoever.
And what we do is negotiate with them for payment in lieu of taxes for the municipal portion only, correct?
We do.
And we have, as you said, the group homes, and this is ARC.
This one is ARC. We've done
Project Live.
Project Live, 2 properties for Project Live. We've done the Jewish Center has a property. So
Cerebral palsy.
6 or 7.
I think we've done a pretty good job in doing this, and I think in fairness, they've approached it fairly, and we've approached it fairly, and I think it's a good deal for the town, quite frankly.
So it's been moved and seconded, pilot for the ARC. Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee.
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier.
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Anything for Mr. Desiderio? Ms. Fritzen?
Just one thing, Mayor, possibly at the next meeting, at your next meeting, we may have an ABC transfer person to person. The
You've been
applicant
promising and promising.
still owes us some materials.
That's it? Any questions? We're still getting comments about the Clinton School polling place, and
Yes, as a matter of fact, I tell you that sometime in the next, I guess, as early as next week, be taking some touring site visits with the clerk of the Board of Elections. So have not stopped thinking about options.
let's talk about that. I want to talk to you about some ideas I have.
Okay, and I think it's not out of the question to splinter 5 districts, 3 one place and possibly 2 another.
If you can find the space.
Right.
Right. Okay. Reports from elected officials. Mr. Brownlee?
Yes, just one thing. On the 29th of June, the Communications Committee met. One of the things that we talked about was we had a compilation of the website statistics since October 2013, and we took a look at those. A couple of highlights that people might be interested in. At this point, we're receiving about 15 to 16,000 visits per month, and overall that translates into about on the order of about 51,000 page views on a monthly basis. I mean, it goes up and down. And about 6,000 or so per month accessing from mobile devices. There's some various ways in which that's calculated, but some of it could be from the mobile app, some could be from smartphones, tablets, and things like that. One of the other things that we took a look at was in terms of people visiting the site, what their experience is, and what we paid particular attention to were the search terms that people used when they visited the site. If they didn't see what they were looking for when they first got on the main page, what search terms did they use to try to figure out where on the site something was? It's kind of interesting to kind of see how that changes over time. You know, if you look in the fall, you see things having to do with leaf collection. In the springtime, you have things to do with spring rakeout and things like that. But there were 4 terms that seemed to be pretty commonly used pretty much throughout the year. And the top one was jitney, or something, you know, anything having to do with the jitney. Another that was parking. Another was pool. That actually was pretty much a year-round type thing. And then also sewer. You know, people perhaps wanted to find out how to pay their sewer bill. So one of the things that we're going to do in response to that, kind of our interpretation of that was someone's coming to the site and they're looking for information about this topic, but for whatever reason, it isn't readily apparent when they get there what they want to do, and they just want to get to it, if you would. And so they're putting in the search term and then jumping to it. So in response to that, we're going to actually make some changes to the site to basically elevate the visibility of those things, basically kind of closing that feedback loop. And what we hope to see is that as we make those changes, now the use of those search terms goes down, and perhaps now something else bubbles up, if you would. And so we're going to continue to, you know, monitor that over time to sort of make sure that the website visitors' experience is as smooth as possible. So just wanted to report on that, and that's my report. I don't know if there are any questions.
Are you having office hours next week?
Yes.
Oh, did you like to report on that?
Yes. You like competition, right? Okay, yeah. Yes, I'll be having my office hours next Tuesday at the Hilton branch of the Maplewood Memorial Library from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. So if anyone is interested in talking about things having to do with Maplewood, please come visit me. And that is my report.
Why don't you say where it is again?
The Hilton branch of the Maplewood Memorial Library on Springfield Avenue, so just down the street. So from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m.
Tuesday, the 14th.
Tuesday. Next Tuesday. One week from tonight.
I'm not sure if you've milked this enough, Mr. Brown. It's stretching out.
And that.
Was Mr. Ryan in the top 10 of searches?
No, not even on a individual month. There were some other topics that one can imagine that in particular months bubbled up for a month.
Oh, yes.
But they kind of went away.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Leventhal.
Well, just 3 things. The 113th Independence Day, 4th of July celebration was, again, a huge success. And I'd like to do a big shout out to the volunteers, large number of volunteers that make this possible. And I wasn't able to stay for the whole day, but I could, there was just joy, there was fun. People were really very excited to be there. I'm sure the mayor can tell you more about it. I'm liaison to the Environmental Advisory Committee, and they are looking to start their assessment of the sustainability plan that we had put in place to lower our emissions 20% by next year. That was back in 2008 that we did that. So just when everybody's okay for them to go ahead and study this and make a report back to us.
Well, I would actually think it would be good if we moved a resolution that just, or a motion just to request the Environmental Advisory Committee to assess our status of that plan.
To actually do a motion, okay. So I do move that the Environmental Advisory Committee review our stated goals for decrease of emissions in Maplewood by 20%. This would conclude in 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We could get a sense of where we are. Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Before you move on, can I just ask a question?
Mhm.
Just tagging on to your, I too would like to commend everyone who helped put on our wonderful 4th of July. I also couldn't stay, I had to be out of town, but I do have one concern, and I don't know where to bring it up or when, so I hope I'm being correct, but with the bike parade, the bike parade, I think we need to suggest to our police chief that Maplewood Avenue at that point be closed in time for the gathering of the bikes. I took several toddlers out of the way of much bigger cars.
Yeah. Actually, I think what we need to do is move the gathering into the lot and close the lot.
Okay.
Because there's no reason to close the street as we're gathering. But close the lot, gather in the lot, and then when we're ready to move from the lot.
Then close the street.
I think at one point we did that, and somehow it shifted and gravitated over to the front of Rickleton. But that'll be something when we have our debrief with the 4th of July committee.
Okay.
That will be a topic that we talk about, because that was crazy what occurred.
Right.
We can't have that. And I don't think it's fair in the 45 minutes that we're gathering and organizing to close the street, when we have that lot there that we could utilize.
That's fine, the toddlers and the cars just were a bad mix.
Yeah.
So. Thank you.
Do you have anything more?
Yes, I have one more thing. This is to request that we appoint Robert LeBlanc to the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Committee. I had forwarded you his letter of interest and his resume. He has a finance background. I will ask him to come and join us next week so that we could do that. Are there any questions on it? No? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ryan?
No report this evening, Mayor, thank you.
Mrs. Larrier?
No report, sir.
I have two items. One is that my office hours are also next Tuesday, July 14th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. Town Hall, thank you very much for asking that. And
What's
the
the
other
address
thing
of
is,
Town Hall?
yeah,
Where is
yeah.
it? What's the address?
Okay.
Where is it again?
The other thing is we did some discussion of a couple items on June 16th. One was the state legislation to toughen laws against firearm possession for domestic violent offenders, and that did pass. It's awaiting the governor's signature. And the other thing is the Urban League's Essex County Thrift Works Social Enterprise Initiative, and we do have a box collecting the clothes in Town Hall. And we did send a notice out via email, so thank you for that. With that, we have to go back into closed session. We have two legal matters that we have to discuss. And we weren't able to discuss those before, so what we need is a motion to go into close. And you have to read.
Before the motion? Yes.
Yes. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas this public body is the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, County of Essex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of any action upon the herein specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter discussed as follows.
There are legal issues?
Legal issues anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter be made public.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you very much for coming tonight, and we'll see everyone on the 21st of July.
We can